In this video, we are going to build a full stack application using Flutter and Dart. And this is going to be really interesting video because we are going to cover a lot of new topics in this video, which will include MonoRepo, Melos, Backend, Frontend, shared code, Dart 3 features, and many more things. So if you are interested, then please watch till the end. So let's get just started with what we are going to build. So we are going to build a task application, and this application is going to be interesting. Why? Because this application will have the backend as well and front end as well. For backend, I'm going to use Dart Frog, and for front end, I am going to use Flutter. Obviously, that's my first choice always. So as you can see, I am in my terminal, and I'll just go back to my Flutter folder, and here I am going to create a new application. So the project structure will be very simple. It will have a backend folder, a front end folder, as well as a shared folder where we will have the common code for both the client and the server. So this is how it will look like. I'll give you an idea while we start the development. So first of all, what you have to do is something which I'm just gonna tell you. So first of all, you have to install Melos or activate Melos. Now, if you want to see what is Melos, then we can go to pub.dev, and here you can search Melos. And you can see it is a tool for managing Dart and Flutter repositories with multiple packages. That's what we call MonoRepo. So MonoRepo is nothing but when you have a single repository with multiple packages, then this is what we call MonoRepo. It's a project, or it's a package by Invertase, which is a very well-known company in the Flutter ecosystem. And this is how it works, and you don't have to worry about a lot. I'll just explain how everything works. So let's go back to our terminal, how we will activate Melos. So you have to write Dart pub global activate Melos, and you'll just press enter. So as you can see, I have already active version, which is 3.1.1, which is fine, I guess, right? Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new directory here. So I can say mkdir, and I can name it, let's say, full stack underscore task underscore app. So full stack task app is my directory, which I'm going to create. And then I can call full stack task app. So I'm inside that folder now, and now I want to create another folder which will have all the packages. So I can say mkdir packages, which is again a good addition. Right now I have packages as well. Now what else you want to do? So now we don't have anything right now. For example, we don't have pubspec.yaml or anything like that. So what I can do is I'll just directly open this application inside my VS Code. That would be a good idea. And here we are with the VS Code, where we have, let me increase the font a little bit. So as you can see, we have just a packages folder which is empty, which has nothing at all. So I'll create a new file here. I'll call it pubspec.yaml. Right, this is how you have seen the application so far, and you give the name of the particular app which you are creating. So in this case, we can just say task app. Okay, you can name it anything, and then we will also set the environment, which is for SDK, right? And rather than 2.7, I'll change it to 2.18. By the way, this automatic suggestion which I'm getting is because of GitHub Copilot, and I like it, so I'm using it. But yeah, I mean, it's your call if you want to use it, or if you don't want to use it, that's totally fine. Now we have this pubspec done. Now we also want to install Melos into this particular application, but as a developer dependency, not as a normal dependency. So what I can do here, I can just go here and I can say Dart pub add Melos, okay, and --dev. This is, or you can use -d also. This is basically to say that, okay, it says that, okay, you don't have any pubspec.yaml in this particular application. okay, we actually made it out. We have to make it outside packages folder. That's the mistake I did by chance. So now it's fine. Let's run the command again. And now, okay, as you can see, we have a dev dependency, which is Melos 3.1.1, which is what we wanted, right? Apart from like, we can now create one more file. So here I will go and I'll create melos.yaml. So as you know, we do all those sort of things using like YAML. So here also I'll give the probably the same name, which is the task app, right? Then I have to specify the folder of packages. So this is my folder, and I'll just replace it with star, that it is packages slash whatever I will bring here. And then I'll also write something for scripts, that whenever I want to analyze, I will execute a particular command. Let's say I'll have execute dart analyze. Okay, analyze dot. Okay, this is cool. So this is majorly the part where, you know, like we have specified the scripts and everything, like the melos.yaml and pubspec.yaml is ready. Now here, now's the time when we will use melos for our bootstrapping. So basically we can run a command which will bootstrap this MonoRepo. And what is bootstrapping here, which will have, like, which will install all the package dependencies, as well as it will basically link all the packages together, right? So that's what we have to do. But before that, so basically how you can do it, I can tell you. So you can just run melos bs for that. So right now I'm just showing you, because we don't have anything to do, because our packages are empty, so it does not make sense. But yes, we will use it again. So now what I want to do, in the packages folder, I want to create a new folder probably, right? So for that, what I can do, I am going to use Dart frog, as I told you, for backend stuff. So let's also activate that. So you can go back here and you can also say Dart pub global activate, and not this, but Dart frog CLI. Okay, and once you do that, this CLI will be installed. And once you have the CLI, you can go to, let's say, cd packages, and inside here you can use Dart frog command to create, let's say, backend. You can name it anything else, if it's totally your choice, but it will take some time and it will do some of the stuff. And as you can see, we have inside packages, now we have this backend folder, which has again routes, test, and whatever. So I'll give you a little bit explanation what is happening. So routes is the folder, the default route is there, which is index.dart. So whenever you will just go to the local URL slash, this will be this is what you will see. And then you have another pubspec.yaml, where you have a dependency as Dart frog, and sub developer dependencies, including very good analysis. So this is what we have. Now if we want to run this server inside this backend folder, we will have to go. So I can just say cd backend, and I'll just clear it. And from here I can just say Dart frog dev. So basically it means that I want to run it. It's similar to yarn dev or npm run dev. It's very similar to that. Now our server is running at localhost 8080. By default, the port we are using is 8080, and our Dart VM service is listening at 8181, which is good. And now if I open this, you can see that we have welcome to Dart frog. This is very cool. There is one more thing though, if you want to know, and that is, let's see if I do it like that. Okay, I'll just add it here. So welcome to Dart frog. And there's one more thing. If I go back to routes and I change this, welcome to Codepur Dart frog, then I don't have to restart the server. It's automatically gonna do the hot reload for me. I will just have to refresh the browser, and you can see welcome to Codepur Dart frog. Okay, so this is all you can do. which is pretty cool, right? That's cool. Anyway, I'll just do one thing. I'll just close it because right now we don't need it. And now we have this thing, and we can run it here as well if we want. Like for example, if I go back, I'll just copy this URL and I can run it in any browser, doesn't matter actually. And welcome to code.frog, we can see. Okay guys, so this is like setup of the backend so far. Okay, we have still a long way to go. We are not yet done. So now the second thing which we want is basically we will create front end, right? And for front end we are going to use Flutter, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'll just let's close this server for now, and I will just do cd dot dot. Now we are again in the packages folder. Now I can write the command flutter create, and you can name it anything else, but I'm going to name it just front end. Okay, so it will take some time and it will create. So inside the packages folder, you can see I have a front end folder now, which has Android, iOS, lib, Mac OS, and everything else, which is pretty cool. This is what we wanted. And it's very easy actually. Now let's come to the main part, which is backend front end is done, but how we will share code between those things, right? Because we will be needing that thing. So how we can do that? We can create another package inside it, which we can call shared or task or whatever, right? So for example, I can create a package here inside cd. So I can use the command dart create, okay, dash t, which is for template, and then I want to like have a template as package. So package dart create t package and name of the package. Let's call it task itself, or you can call it shared or whatever you want to call it. So whatever, I mean, we can also call it shared, by the way. Let's call it shared so that we understand what's happening. Okay, shared is fine. And inside shared, you will see again we have a lib folder, we have a source folder, and we have a pubspec.yaml also with the version 1.0.0, and we have some lints and everything like that. So we are mostly done with all these things. So now we have to, like, as I told you, we have to link all this together, right? So to do that, we will have to add this shared dependency in every package. So in backend, in pubspec.yaml, I can add a dependency, let's say shared, and the version is, let's say, 1.0.0. And the same thing I can do with front end, which is again here I can add shared 1.0.0. Now you can see both of these are giving me an error that this shared thing does not exist. Okay, 69, which is a very useful error code. Okay, now okay, there is a problem. I understand there is a problem. How we will fix it? Because this is happening because these folders are not linked together. So how we can link it? Again, you know, if you remember, we have to run a command, which is, I'll go to cd dot dot. We are in the root folder, and here I can just say Melos bs, which is bootstrap. And this time this linking will be done. Okay, and now the linking is done. So now if I go back here, and if I go to pubspec.yaml shared, if I do a pubget, let's see what happens. So let's say I am in the packages / backend folder, and if I do flutter pub get, okay, shared from, you can see from path this. So basically we are done with the setup part. Now we will move to the main part where we will start writing code. We haven't written code as such, to be honest. We are just playing with the things so far. So let's start with the shared code first. That's what I will suggest. So here I can go to, let's say, okay, shared lib source. We have shared base something. Let's delete this, we don't need this. And now what I'm going to do, inside Okay, this is something doing, this is exporting this, so this is fine. So inside source folder, I will create a new file. Let's call it task entity.dart, something like this, where we will create a class, basically what this task will be like. So class task, and we can have a couple of things, like we can have an ID, right, of this task. We can have a title. So title, we can have if that task is completed or not. So we can have a boolean is completed. Okay, so this is all we can do. Now based on this, we can create a constructor for this. So create constructor for this final field, which is pretty good. And also I would want to make it a named constructor, so I'll just use this braces here, and then we will make these required, and by default the completed would be false. Okay, because by default none of the task is actually like making any sense, right? And what else we can do, we can also create a copy with method. So if I don't have the shortcut here, but I can create it quickly. So copy with will have again the same thing. If you can see, it will return a task, it will have ID and this. Now we are done with the copy with. Also we can also have a factory for from map and to map, something like that. So from JSON and to JSON we can do, where we can see from JSON is basically we have a JSON, and from that we want to return a task. Same thing we can do for to JSON. So I can have another map to JSON, which is what I wanted. Okay, so we are done with this particular file, which is having a task file where we have just some of the basic stuff, right? Like how the to do looks like. And we will again, like now this task or to do, whatever you want to call it, is very generic, right? It does not have anything, it's just a model file. Now we also want to perform some operation on this task, right? So what I can do, I can create a new file and I can call it task underscore repo dot. So this task repo basically will decide that what kind of operations I can do, right? So what I'm going to do is, first of all, let's import this task entity. I think we can do that, or maybe, okay, one more thing, guys. This share.dart, right? It can export things now. So I will just change it to source / task entity.dart. Okay, so this will fix our error. And in the test folder also, I can just remove this thing right now. I mean, it's not necessary as of now. Okay, leave it. Now example also is struggling, which is fine. Let's remove this, I don't need it. So task entity is there. In task repo, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create an interface for it. So I can call it abstract interface. Now we can use this keyword interface, by the way, if you don't know. And we can just make task repo. Okay, and it will have some of the like methods like get tasks, or we can just say fetch tasks. You can rename them to anything. And then we have get tasks. We can replace it, let's say get by ID. Okay, and then we have add task, which is fine, I guess. Get task with by ID is making more sense, right? Fetch all task, we can also do it. So let's rename them a little bit better. That's what we are doing here. And what we have, add, delete task, update task. I think delete and update is fine. And then we will import this package shared.dart, whatever. Okay, so now what we have done is we have a shared folder where we have two files. One is task model class, one is repository. That these are the kind of operations you are supposed to do, right? And then in the shared, we can export both of these things. So this is how you write a package, by the way. So if you are not familiar with writing packages, then this is the time where you can learn. So yeah, support for doing something awesome is what I can read here, which is what we are doing. So this is perfectly done. Now see how our architecture looks like is basically we have a Flutter like folder or front end folder, we have a backend folder, and in the middle there is shared, okay, which will give this to do class to backend also, and or task class to backend also, or this task class to front end also. So it will do this. Basically this is the kind of, you can say, declaration here, and the implementation will be done by both front end and backend. Okay, now we can go back to backend. We can do a little bit of routing and everything, whatever is required, right? So what I'm going to do is I will go to backend folder now. So we will start with backend now. So backend is here, guys. Let's close this thing. So backend is here. It is little messy right now. So what I'm going to do inside this routes folder, okay, we have index.dart, which is for the normal scenario, right? But let's say I want to go to task slash something something. So I can create a new folder here and I can call it task. Okay. So basically now when you will go to URL, you will have to apply slash task. That's how it works. Okay. So so it's basically, it is, this routing mechanism is using directory based routing. So this is directory, so this will use it this way. Okay. Now it will also have an index.dart, so I can just call it index.dart, right? And then we can do something here. So it will be like localhost slash task slash something. Okay. So now inside it we can also have id.dart, where if you want to do something with the id, so I can just say id with square brackets and dart. So we will have these two files where we can do certain things. So for example, now we will start with this thing, which is the index.dart. So if we take the inspiration from here, okay, so this is how our response structure, request and response structure looks like. So same thing we will try to do here. So what I'm going to do, I will create a method called onRequest. Okay. And what it will do, it will take request context. I will have to import Dart frog here, by the way, and then it will return a response, right? But I want to return a future response, so I can just call it like this. Okay, and then it will be a asynchronous method, and we can remove this thing for now. Okay, so we will get a request. Either it will be a get request or it will be a post request, right? So now I am going to use something which was introduced in Dart 3, which was that how you can use switches. So you can use switches like this also. So yes, something like this. Okay, but this is too much. I will remove some of the things. Okay, let's write from scratch. This is not looking good. So we will switch for context.request.method, and then we will have cases. So we don't write cases like that. We can just say, let's say http method dot get, right? And for get we can do something. For example, we are awaiting, let's say on get, and then we will pass the context there. Okay, this is what we are doing for get. Same thing we can do for post. So for post we will just say on post. So we'll call these methods in these situations, right? And then if there is some other case, let's say we will just represent it with a blank, then we can just give a response with a status code. Okay, and we can just call it http status dot not found. Okay, we have to import http status.io not found. Yes, so I think we are done with. Okay, this is fine, I guess. So what we are doing, why this is giving me error, is because this is like it does not understand what is on get, what is on post. So basically we have a switch, where we are looking for this method. If it is get, we will do this. If it is post, we will do something else. And yes, this is all you have to do. Now you have to create these two methods also. So we can just say on get, and we can just say on post, right? And now you can see the errors are gone, but this on get and on post is not doing anything, so we have to do something for it, right? So what I can do is so basically what will happen, if you'll go to index, task index, so it will give you all the tasks, right? That's what you understand by default, right? So let's say we will have to get all the tasks. So for example, I can write final tasks. Okay, so it should give me all the tasks, right? So I can just say await, because it's an asynchronous method, context dot read. So we have read, something like that, and we can use the task repo to fetch all the tasks, and we can import it here. Okay, now we have not implemented task repo for this backend, so we will do that. Okay, because this is right now not available, right? So we have to make it available, otherwise how it will know like what is happening, right? So this is something which you have to remember, that we will need this thing as well, that we will have to import this, like we will have to make this task repo here as well. So this is one thing. Now what else? So okay, well, let's do the implementation in Frontend itself. Now why we have to do it here? Okay, so we have the tasks here, so that means it will give us all the tasks whichever is available, and then after that we can have a JSON. We can get the JSON from here, right? So we can just say for final task in tasks and task.json to JSON. So this is for all the task in tasks, right? Like if you have, let's say, 6 tasks, so for every task it will get the JSON and it will return it here, and then it will create a list of it. That's what is happening, by the way. And then you can just return that response in body as JSON, and we can just use response.json here. Okay, so this is what will happen when you will do a get request. Same thing you will have to do for a post request, but it will be different. It will be opposite of this. Earlier you had the tasks, then you find the JSON and you return it as a response. But in the case of post, first you will have to make the JSON, right? So I'll just say final JSON. How you will get the JSON? We have already written all the methods, right? So we can say context.request. I'm using autocomplete, but you don't have to use it. Okay, and request.json, I guess you will get, and you can call it as map string dynamic. That's how we represent JSON, right? And then you will have to specify the task. So not task from JSON. We will read this task again from context. So context.request dot, or we don't have to, we can directly use read. Context.read should be there, I guess. Yes. So read will have, again, we will have to mention task repo. Okay, and then because it's a post, basically we are adding something, right? So we can just say dot add task and task from JSON. Okay, this something like this. And then why this is giving me an error? Okay, because I missed O here. Okay, so basically what is happening, we have a JSON which we get from context.request.json, and we get it here. We have a task where we have context.read task repo add task from JSON and all that. Now once you have that, you will do the same thing, return response.json task.toJSON. Okay, so this is what you have to do, and you are mostly done with this part. Now there's one more thing, like for example, if someone wants to get a particular task, right, a particular task, then they have to specify that ID, right, for the task. For example, I have 5 tasks, 1 2 3 4 5. So, the ID is 1 2 3 4 5. So I will specify this task here, id.dart. Okay, which will have again 2 different methods, you can say, right, where one method will be having sort of, you can say that one method will have this, like it will expect that string in such a way. For example, let's, if we will have to write it, how we will write it is basically, I'll copy this thing from here for now. Let's say I copy this here to here. So we have a response. I'll just import Dart frog here. So earlier we were just taking context in the parameter. Now I will also take an ID, okay, string ID. So this is basically to make it authentic, okay, like if you are asking for a particular ID, so give me the ID, and based on your ID, I'll do something, okay. So this time on get will be the same, but it will also pass the ID here. Same thing it will do for this, and everything can remain same, or maybe okay, so you cannot post it, obviously you can put it though. And same thing we can do for on post, we can change it to on put, and same cheese we can do for delete. So we can have another method, let's say on delete, and again you will pass the same thing, and this will remain the same. Now we will have to create 3 different functions, okay. One would be for getting, for putting, and for deleting, okay. So for getting, you have request ID, you will just say context dot read task repo, and we have get task by ID, where we are specifying the ID, and in the response.json we can just say task.toJSON, which is looking nice. Now we can have for put. So for put, again we will just say context.request.json as map string, then task from JSON, and then we can use this copy with. Actually we don't have to use this way. You can just remove this, that is also fine. Even if you use it like this, I think it should be fine, or you can use it like this, it's totally your call. Then you have an updated task, right, which you can return as a response. So where we have like updated task is context.read.update task, and response.json, where we will just say updated task.json. I think it's fine, okay. Or maybe the good part is that you don't have to actually return anything in this case. You can just return a normal response, blank response, because once you update it, it does not matter. Anyway, we will fix it later, that's totally fine. And then we will have on delete, where you will just say context dot request. Nope, we will have to get the JSON first of all, guys, otherwise we won't be able to delete the task, I guess. Okay, the autocomplete is not working very well probably. What we can do is context.read is fine, task repo, delete an ID. I think we can directly use the ID also, that's fine only. Okay, this is majorly this is correct only. I don't blame GitHub Copilot to write the code for me. It's been very helpful, thank you GitHub Copilot, you did half of my work already. So this looks nice. However, like I don't think that on put and on delete has to return this response as such, because you won't utilize it, but it's fine if even if it is doing right now. Okay, now there's one more important thing. We have to do dependency injection, and how we can do it, we can use a middleware here, okay. So this Dart frog actually supports this dependency injection by default, okay. So how we can do that? So that is also going to be directory based. So for example, if you want to do something in task, then you can specify the middleware inside this. For example, here if I want a middleware, so I can create a new file, and it will start like underscore middleware.dart. Same thing. If you don't want to specify for task, let's say you directly want to specify the direct route, you can specify another middleware here, right? So this is how it going it is going to work, okay. But before that, before we specify all these middlewares and all, right, we also need some repository, as I told you. For example, if you remember, so backend should have some database, right? So either we can use in-memory database, or we can use some other database, let's say PostgreSQL, SQL, MongoDB, anything like that. So this task repo which you see, for example, if we go back to this index.dart, we can see here we have this task repo, and as I told you, if you go to this task repo, this is just a kind of declaration, right? Implementation is not done. Like right now we don't have anything. If it's a blank declaration only, we have to implement it in backend also and in front end also, right? So especially in backend, because the backend will give the data, we want to use it this way directly in front end. I'll show you, but this needs to be implemented in backend for now, where we can like either have a database, real database, or we will have a fake database. So let's do that first. Okay, so inside backend, I can create a new folder, let's say lib, because we keep all our things inside lib, right? All our code. And then lib folder can have, oh no, let's create another folder, let's say data or model, whatever you want to name it. And then let's have new file which we can call in memory, because we are not going to use any specific database right now. So task repo.dart, let's call it. Okay, in memory task repo. So what it will do, it will have a class. Okay, let's say in memory task repo. What it will do, it will implement, as I told you that it has to implement something. So task repo. Okay, what it has done, I don't know, but let's see what it has done. So okay, let's remove this. I'm not very fan of all this auto generated code. Okay, first of all you will have to import this. Okay, and then you will have to override all the 5 missing functions or methods, I should say in this case. And then first of all we will have to return all the tasks. So we can just say list of task is equal to tasks. Okay, let's remove this. We don't want it to be private, but this is a final list of tasks which we are going to return. We can remove the final also, that's fine. Okay, now what else? Let's say first of all this is your tasks, and not tasks, let's call it data, in fact, because we are not returning data. So let's say we have to give this entire tasks. How we will give it? So we can just say list of tasks, get task is equal to data. So, and we can now keep it like this. Okay, like this is as private. So whenever you will go to this class, you want a task, so you can just get it using this tasks property, and it will just return all the data back to you, right? This is what you can do. Then we have something called get task by ID. This is the first thing which I'm gonna touch. So what I'm going to do, I am going to return here this data. We can use data dot first, where task is task.id equal to id, and I think this should done the job for me. There is some issue though. Let's see what is the issue. Okay, because we are not using asynchronous here, so it should be asynchronous. Okay, so basically what it is doing, it is checking wherever, when you find this id, just return that id. Okay, now I can also fill this data with some random data. Okay, I'll show you that as well. So we are done with the task by id. Now let's say we have to add some task. How we will do that? So let's go here. We can again make it asynchronous, that's fine. Now how we will do that? We will, let's say, have new task, final new task. How you can create it? You can create it task.copy with id. You can just say data.length +1, or you can use some uuid or anything like that. It's totally your call, but let's use the easiest thing right now. And then you can append the data like this, data.add new task. Okay, and then you can return new task. No, actually not, you don't have to do that. Yeah, let's return new task. So when you add a task, you just return that task and you add it to your in-memory database, which is nothing but this data. Okay, new task is also done. Now let's say I want to delete it. How I will delete it? So let's remove this thing here, and let's wait for some autocomplete. If it can help me, or if it cannot, let's do it by ourselves. Let's say data is equal to data dot okay, what we can do is we can apply a for loop for final task in data, okay, where id is not equal to id, and then if task is, then you return that task. Okay, that's it. So basically delete by id or delete by task is basically what you provide an id, you have this data thing here, okay, and you just set the data without that particular id. Okay, so now it's showing me some error. Okay, because it's final, it should not be final, guys. Okay, so this again we can make it asynchronous, causing null to be returned. This is something it is saying. The body, okay, because it should not return anything, so make it void. Okay, I think in the task repo we made this mistake that this delete thing should be a void, not a task. And now, okay, that's why this thing was happening. So once you are done with this, I think you can return a blank response. That is fine. Okay, so you can do this. Okay, I think we are good. In the middleware, we haven't done anything. In memory database, okay, so what we are doing, we are creating a new data list where we are just using the same tasks which does not have that id. We are just excluding it. That's what we are doing. Okay, this was interesting. And now we have fetch all task. This is very simple. We will just return future dot value data, or we can just return data. That should be fine. We can make it asynchronous here. So we have just one more thing, which is updating the task. So here again we will do the same thing. It will again be a void, by the way. It should not be a, you don't want to return a task, I guess. And it will be same thing. If it is equal, then it will return the task, else it will return t, this thing. Okay, and okay, we don't have to return anything, I guess. That's fine. Now this thing needs to be updated, guys. So how we will update it, we will go back to this task repo. I was thinking that there is some issue with this, and here also we can just make it void, and then in the id again we have this. Let's remove it, and we can just return a blank response. That's fine. It just means that the task is updated and task is deleted. That's it, because we don't have to return anything. That's what, while I was making it, that was in my mind as well. Now it is saying that there are some missing documentation. Okay, let's write something over here. A class that is in memory list. That's fine. And then for this also, let's say something nice over here, return the list of tasks. Okay, so now we are done. We have the middle layer also, not middleware, sorry, we have the data class also, where we have the in memory list, which is doing add task, delete task, and all those kind of things. Now what we have to do, we have to create that middleware which I was talking about, right? So how I will do it, I will go back to this middleware.dart. Here what I can do is I can have, let's say, first of all, I can use my in-memory task repo, and I can call it task repo. It can be nullable also by default, I guess. And I'll just import this thing. Okay, we have one thing. And then we will create a handler, which will be, let's say, middleware. The name of it will be middleware. And we can just say handler. So many handlers. And this handler needs to be imported, guys. So we can import it using Dart frog. Now we have this middleware, and we can just return handler dot use. Okay, and we can probably use something called a provider here, because it gives me that provider, I think. So I can use like something like this, I guess, provider, and I can specify, let's say, task repo, and it will just return me this thing. Okay, what happened? Okay, this is fine. So what it is doing is it is using this task repo. Okay, and this task repo, it is returning this in memory task repo. For example, what is happening here, why we are using middleware, whenever we are going to this index.dart, we are returning some fetch all task and all, but how, where we are specifying that which task repo we are talking about here, right? I mean, is it a real database or it's a in memory database? We are not specifying it anywhere. So that's where we have to like somehow specify it somewhere. So that's why we have used this middleware where we just say that please provide me this task repo as in memory task repo. If tomorrow you want to change it to, let's say you have SQL, for example, let's say I create SQL task repo dot dart, okay, something like this. So I can write class SQL task repo implements task repo, okay, and then I have all these things over here. Okay, so we will just implement SQL task repo. Okay, leave it for now, but let's say this is the case. Then we will go to our middleware. We can just just change it like this, and here I can just use this. So this is the easiest way of replacing the task repo. Okay, so for now we are using in memory task repo. That's what we need, and I think we have done a lot of stuff already. Now what else we can do? Okay, I think we are done with most of the parts. Let's try it, guys. What do you think? So how we can try it in the backend? We can just say dart frog def, and we are running it again on localhost, which is a very good thing. And if I go back, you can see that if I refresh it, this is fine, right? But now I can go to here and I can just say slash tasks, and it says route not found. The reason is because we have this as task. I should rename it because task does not mean anything. I mean, it's not a good name. It should be tasks. Okay, rename is simple actually. Why I'm making it complicated? Okay, this is fine. Now if I go back and okay, so now you can see an empty list of tasks. So let's say I want to add some dummy tasks, so I can go to in memory. I have this task over here, and I can add some tasks. Not description, bro, don't do that. Okay, is completed. Okay, this is something which we need. So let's say we have some random 3 tasks. Okay, this is what we have. Yeah, this is fine. So we have 3 tasks, and now if I go and if I refresh, okay, I think why it didn't work. Let's do a hot restart, guys, otherwise we can have some issues. Okay, now if I do slash tasks, you can see we have ID1, title1, task 2, task 3. And now if I want to get, let's say /1 or /2, then it will give me just ID with 2, task this. And this is actually working very, very well. I mean, I am not trying put and delete right now. You can do it later, but main task is done. I mean, main idea is done. Now guys, we are coming to the main part, which is the front end part. So let's jump into front end. Okay, so so far we have done all these things. The front end is not done at all and I think it can be very interesting when it comes to front end. We can just install a couple of dependencies, and I think that should be fine. So we have to create a little bit UI also, which looks a little bit nicer, right? So let's go back. Okay, so in front end, what I'm going to do, I am going to pubspec.yaml. We already have a dependency called shared. I also want to add another dependency, so I'll just, okay, let's close the server. For now, we will come back to it. I can do one more thing, guys. I can go to cd packages front end, and I can just say flutter pub add http, because we have to make http requests, so we will have to add http to this thing. Okay, because front end depends on shared, any which does not exist. What? Could not find package shared at pub.version solving conflict. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, why the shared thing has to be anyway specified, because I think that should have been done by Melos BS already. Okay, it's fine. We will take a look. And for state management, guys, I think you can use anything, but I am using my package, which is, I'm a little biased. I may use velocity x or vx state, so I am going with velocity x for now. You can use something else, it's totally your call, but I like it. So yeah. Okay, front end has some problem. Let's see what is the problem. We did Melos PS, no? Okay, I think it should be fine only. Okay, cd front end flutter packages pubget. I think it's fine. We have all the things. All right, so we are done with all these things. We have the front end ready. Guys, before I proceed, I just want to tell you one thing, that I forgot to do anything with git so far. So let's do that. Let's create another terminal here, and here let's do git init, because it's always good to have all changes inside your git folder. Git add, git commit initial commit with backend done and share done. Okay, so now we have all the changes here. I am happy that we are done with the git part as well. Now let's do one more thing. Let's go to frontend lib main.dart. We have so many things over here which we probably don't need, but let's run it. Okay, so to run it, how we can run it now? That's a good question, because I don't have anything here ready. Okay, it's showing me some error here, that please open a folder closer to your Flutter project root, or increase the value of the Dart project search depth string. Okay, this is something interesting, because I am using terminal most of the time. So now I got to know that this thing directly does not work, because it does not understand what is this packages. Then inside there is a front end, so we have to set Dart project search depth. Okay, let's try this as well. I don't have any idea like how this works, but we can do it, I think. Okay, let's do this. Okay, and depth we can specify. Let's say 5. Will this help? I don't know. 5 is depth, like 1 2 3. 3 is the current depth, so it should work, I guess. Even if it does not work, or maybe I will have to restart this project, but that's fine. I mean, let's go back to our this front end, which is here, and here from here we can run this application. So let's say flutter run that's simple, I think. And I can also open my simulator, guys. That will be better, I guess, or I can use Mac OS also. What do you think? Let's open Mac OS. So for Mac OS, guys, we will have to do one more setting, which I don't know if you know or not. By default, the ongoing connection, like if you make a network request, is not open. Okay, it's off by default. So we will have to turn it on. So let's see. And guys, this is taking time, this entire video, because I don't want to cut anything. I want to show you everything which is there, right? So now if I go where it is running, I don't know. Okay, it is running over here somewhere. Okay, so now we have this thing. Let's do one thing before we jump. we go back to our front end, we go to Mac OS, and let's open it in Xcode. If you see here somewhere, there will be open in Xcode. Is there anything like that? No. Okay. Or we should have, for iOS we can see open in Xcode. No, actually, because this is okay, this is, let's reveal in Finder. That's a better call, I guess. So we have this. Why it is not showing? Because of the deep nesting of folders. And we have this XC workspace here. Let's double click here and we can open it this way as well. And once we open that, I think it should be fine. Okay guys, so we have the Xcode here. We can, okay, allow, we can go to runner, and here you can see signing and capabilities, that outgoing connection is off. We can on it, and even for release, let's on it right now. We are not doing any release right now, but I mean, it's good. Okay, so this is all you have to do, and now you can go back. And one more thing I can do is I can attach this thing here. So it will be better for us to create the UI, right? So okay, I think this is fine. Now let's do a little bit changes here in this code, or we can also write this code from scratch. What do you think? Let's write it from scratch. That's going to be always better. Okay, so we have my app. Basically we can just say async widget flutter binding dot ensure initialized, and here guys I'll create a stateless widget. I'm not going to explain what exactly is happening, like, because it's very simple if you don't know how to make Flutter applications. So the first priority should be to learn that. Return material app, and then we have title and all. Okay dude, we don't need this, sorry. Home also let's ignore. We can just go with theme data. Okay, what's wrong man, क्या दिक्कत क्या है भाई? Const we can remove. We can use material 3 by, I think it's on by default now, but still. Flutter demo we can just say task app, anything like this. Okay, this is looking fine. And we can have one home as well, and for home we can just say home page. And dosto, we don't have a home page, so we will create a home page here. So we will create home page dot dart. This home page will again be a stateless widget where we can just call it home page. Okay, and then this home page will have some scaffold where we will have an app bar, where we will have a title, where we will just say home task, nothing much, and tasks. Okay, and then in the body we can have just a container for now, nothing much. Okay, this looks nice. Now in the main dart we can just have a home page like this. One second guys, this is not helping me. Okay, now we can do a hot restart, and you can see the task folder is looking very blank now. We can also remove this debug show checked banner false, and now we have a very like generic home page which has nothing at all. Now let's do a hot restart again. Okay, we have this tasks though. Now what all we can do is we can have a list view. We can have so in the body what we can have a column. Okay, so column will have children, right? So children will have one will be, let's say we can have a text field which just says that, okay, that maybe add some task and list some tasks. So how I should do it? So maybe I can just say that I just want to have a list view first. So I can just have a to-do list view or task list view, anything you want to call it. Task list view. Okay, and this will be expanded, okay, because it will take the all the space whatever it can take. So there's one stupid mistake I am doing is not wrapping it before, because it's a little bit tough sometimes. You should use commas wherever you can. So we have to have this task list view, okay, because we don't have that list view. And unless we have that list view, it does not make any sense. Okay, so to do all of these things, we will have to like write all the business logic and do all those kind of things. So first of all, before I make this list view, I can also do one thing, guys. Let's make this code a little bit better. So I'll create a folder called pages. I'll create a folder called widgets. I'll create a folder called, let's say, core. Inside core, we can have our repositories and all those things, which can be very useful, I guess, right? So let's start with the repository. Okay, this task list view we can fix later, that's totally fine. So how I'm going to do it is I have to create in the core, I have to, let's say, create a new folder which I can call data, and inside it I can just say remote task repo dart. Like if you remember, in backend we had in memory task repo. This time we can have remote task repo. And how this will work, I can just say class remote task repo implements task repo. Okay, this is very much simple to what you have seen already, and it imports this shared folder, and then it has 5 missing overrides. You remember? This is fun now. So again, we have delete task, add task, and all these sort of things, which we will fix one by one. Okay, so let's remove all of these things, and now we have to add that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to rearrange them. So first of all, we will have fetch all task, add task, and second would be fetch all tasks. Then we will have get task by ID. Then we will have add task, delete task, and update task. That is fine. Now fetch all task, how this is going to work, or even for add, right? How that is going to work. So for fetch all task, we can have let's say we can create a client over here itself. For example, we can say final client is equal to http.client. We don't have http yet, so we will import it. So we can just say import http. Okay, what happened? Import http dart as http. Okay, so we have this client now. Using this client, we can do something. Okay, so first of all, we will need a base URL. We don't have a base URL as of now, so we will have to make a base URL also. So how you can do that? You will have here, let's say, we can specify somewhere else also, guys. You don't have to do it here. For example, 8080 is our base URL, and for fetch all task, what I can do is I can just say final response. How you will get it? Let's say await. Let's make them asynchronous. Await client dot get, and you have to pass the URL, right? So what you have to do is you can just say URI dot parse. You will take the base URL slash tasks. Okay, so this will give us the response from this thing. Okay, and also you can specify the content type and headers if you want to do that, but I think for now it should be fine. We will test it as well, and then once you have that, then you can say JSON as response dot body as list dynamic. I think this is fine. Response dot body, we can make it dynamic ourselves, and then we can just return a list. So for final task in JSON decode, which we will use like this, and from task from .json we can return these tasks. Okay, so this is fetch all tasks. So basically when you say fetch all task, it will take the client, it will make a get request, it will just run all the tasks, and this will just return some tasks. Okay, now to see if this works or not, okay, we will have to first of all remove all the errors, otherwise this code will not work. Okay, so add task should return some tasks. So let's do this like this. Okay, and this also should return some tasks. So I'm just giving some random data to this so that we can remove error from our code, and this also we can do later. Okay, or we can do it here itself. Let's replace it with a container for now. Container. Okay, now I just want to see what data we get. Okay, so final data is equal to in remote task repo. I'm just doing this for fun, guys. It's not something which we are going to do, by the way. This we will change. Okay, and then we can print this data. Okay, and this is not how it's gonna work. We can go to main.dart in fact, and here we can print it maybe. Okay, let's do this. Get data. And then we have get data, and yep. Okay guys, so let's do a hot restart and see if this works. Before that, we will also have to make sure our backend is running, which is not running right now. So I'll just run it. 8080 is fine. I think we haven't specified. Okay, this is fine. Now let's do this. So let's go back to Frontend and let's do hot restart. And we can see something has happened. Okay, we have socket connection failed with operation not permitted. Socket exception, this. There is some issue with our this thing. Okay, let's do one thing. So the connection is failed for sure. Let's try here as well if this is working or not. Okay, so this thing is working for sure. Okay, this thing is working, guys. So that means there is some issue with our code. Now let's try to find out what can be that issue. Okay, so first of all, maybe when we are specifying our getter, we are not specifying our headers, and when we are showing this, we can also call it list dynamic. This is fine. Oh, okay, this is fine then. We'll see. First of all, we are not able to make a connection. That's our first major problem. So how we can fix it? We can fix it. And do you remember when we changed the outgoing connection? Did we do right now or when we did? So let's do it one more time so that we are sure that things are working as expected. So now let's do it one more time, guys. And once it is running, then we will be happy to do this. Okay, we have this thing running, and did we get some data already? Nope. What happened? Main.dart. Oh, we haven't awaited it, guys. That's the biggest problem. Oh shit, I shut it down by mistake. Please bear with me, guys. I'm doing some stupid mistakes. It's the thing with coding continuously for some time. Okay, now guys, I can see we have instance of task. That means our code is working. We are getting those instance back, and now we can use this data to do something. Okay, so let's say if I say data.length, then I'm sure that this will give me 3, because we have 3 tasks, if you remember, in the backend, which we have set by ourselves, right? If you go our backend and inside lib in memory task we have these three tasks which are dummy tasks. Okay, we will delete these and we will create the task using our front end itself. So that means one thing is for sure, that our code is working perfectly fine. Now because this fetch all task is working, or first of all guys, this is not the best practice to do, so I'm just going to remove this piece of code because this is, I was just checking, and we could have write some test cases also for doing this, by the way. That could be even better. Okay, for example, I can go to my test folder here, and I can write some test over here. Let's say I can just say unit test dot. Okay, and I can test this here. For example, I'll just copy this thing. Okay, why I'm showing you all this? Okay, I can make this example even faster, but the point is that you should know what is happening. That's the whole point of making this video. Otherwise, I don't care, bro. I could have just finished this tutorial as soon as possible. It's easier for me to do that. So test will have description, function, body, so it does not need this. And then we can just have, okay, so we can just say final response. Okay, await, no, we can just say remote, await remote task repo dot fetch all tasks, and then we can expect this to be 3. Yep. Now let's run this test. Let's see what happens. Okay, so the problem we cannot run this test. So we cannot run this test. The reason is not because we are running our application. The reason is that it's like we are inside this front end thing. I haven't explored this thing honestly. I don't know why this does not work when you have nesting of folders in VS Code. This is not working. Maybe if I'll restart it, because I have already set it somewhere, maybe restarting can fix it, but I don't want it in folder. And then you have to run flutter test. Oh, this was the easiest thing to do, but I forgot. And okay, I see some exception. Finally, some test has failed. Okay, so it's saying that this widget test has failed, which is fine. I don't want to actually do anything here, so I'll just do this. And one test has been passed also, I guess. Let's do it one more time, guys. Okay, all tests passed. So basically this unit test passed. If I, let's say I write it 2, then this should fail. Yeah, this test failed. Okay, because the expected is 2 and actual is 3. Okay, this means that everything is working just fine. Okay, so we can test our code here whenever we want to do anything. So that's the good thing about unit tests. So let's commit it. We can just say initial front end is done. We can do more into this. So right now let's close others. Let's go back to remote task. No, not this one. Where is our okay, this is the one. Now we have done just fetch all task. Let's also do get task by ID. Okay, so here in this case what will happen, we will have same response, final response client dot get. This time we will pass the ID also, and then we will get the data, and based on that data we will have the response dot body, and then based on that we can just decode it and send it back. This is fine. Now the third thing we need is adding the task, right? How you will add the task. So that's one of the like this is something which we haven't done yet, like post request basically. So we can just say return, not return, let's say final response client dot post slash tasks, and then we have body JSON encode this body, and after encoding it what we can do, we can have final JSON response dot body, and then we can just say this. So this will do the add task also for me. Now I have two more. One is delete task and another one is update task. So let's do the delete part maybe. So here I can do await client dot delete. That's the best thing I should do. I don't think I have to do anything else, and it should get the job done for me. And this is the easiest one, by the way. And update one is also not that difficult, honestly. You have to do client dot put, and I think because we are getting some response out of these, so if you want you can do that, otherwise just leave it like this. Okay, so we have done the update, delete, add, get task by id, fetch all tasks. So this is what was the most important thing for us, right? Um, to make sure that we have those things ready from where we will just perform some operations or do that and that stuff. So our DB part is sorted. Now what we have to do, like not DB, but our remote part is sorted. Now we have to perform these operations. Okay, how we are going to do that? That's the most difficult question, right? So it's going to be very easy, guys. So bear with me and we will quickly do this thing. Okay, so first of all, we want to show the list of tasks available to us. Okay, that's pretty much sure. So how we can do that? By default, okay, one more thing we can do is we can use a package called uuid which can generate id for us. That's something which I am always thinking we should do. So how we can do that? Or we should set some random id right now. I don't know. Let's install it now. What is there in installing? So let's do one thing. Let's say flutter pub add uuid. Okay, uuid is added. That is fine. Now once we have this thing, okay, let's go back to our home page Dart. This looks very empty. So first of all, we have to make a widget which can give us task list view. Okay, so in widgets I will create this new file which I'll call task list view. Okay, dart. So this will be again a stateless widget, guys, which will be task list view. This will have a list view, basically list view dot builder. Okay, and what will happen in this case? It's that or we can use a future builder also. What do you think? But I think this is easier, I think. Yeah, okay, let's have let's say that we will have a list of tasks here. So I can just say list of task, all the tasks. This will be provided by someone. Okay, so require this dot task. We can import it, and using this task we will show some index, something like this, and then it will have a count also, item count, where we can just say task dot length, and it will have, let's say, a list style. Maybe we can use a list style, I guess so. Import material. Oh, this widgets I didn't need, actually. Material is all I need. And here in the title, guys, we can just say text data index dot title. Where is data? This should be tasks, and we have to remove this thing. And then in the subtitle we can just have I mean, this is all we have. We don't have a description of it, so that's fine. We can have trailing icon button. No, icon is fine. So if, let's say, tasks index dot is completed is true, then we will show icons dot done. Otherwise null. Okay, so what we are doing is we have a list view dot builder where we have task dot length. Based on all the tasks, we will show a list style where we will show a title of that task, and in the trailing, if there is if it is completed, then we will show done, otherwise we won't show. And now home page have this task list view which it will import from here, and now it has to provide those tasks. So let's say right now I'm providing empty tasks, so it will be like this. But if I provide some tasks like this for now, so if I do a hot restart here, I should see it most probably. Yes, and you can see we have task 1 which is not completed, task 2 is completed over here, and task 3 is not completed, right? So because we have is completed is true. So this all data we will get from backend, don't worry about it. But right now I'm working on making the UI, so that's why I'm taking my time. And then we can have a floating action button which will have add task and all those kind of things. So, or maybe you can go at the bottom and you can add a task. We can do anything like that. For example, what I want to say here is, here we can have let's say in the bottom navigation bar we can have a text field, maybe, I don't know, text field can be fine, I guess. And how does it look? I why can't I see anything so far? Okay, so we have a text field. Okay, why? Because we are not doing hot restart. So we have a text field here, and okay, let's give some safe area to this, guys. So I'll wrap it this body with a safe area widget, safe area, and this is fine. And then I also want to give some padding to these widgets. So column wrap with padding of 16. Similarly, this text field can also get some padding, I guess. And then again we can give it for 16. And now if I do this, this is fine. So we have this new task here. We can write something here and there. And then we can also wrap it in a column. So I can wrap it in, in a row. So wrap with row. Why I'm doing this? Because this will be my expanded view. This padding can go to row, in fact. Swap with, is there a method called swap with? Okay, it's not there. So row, entire row will be wrapped with padding, this time with 16. And I can make this text field as expanded. Like, let's do this, because I wanted to take the entire screen, whatever is possible. Then I will give some size box. So I am using Velocity. I can use the shortcuts, but I don't want to use it because you might not be knowing it. And then once you have the sized box, I want to have a floating action button, which will have child. Okay. Oh. Okay, so it will be like this. Okay, and then this child icon. Icons dot done. Let's say something like this can be there. Okay. So now if I do a hot restart, okay, you can see we have a new task. We add something here and we press this button, then something happens. Okay, so we have all these tasks on the top. We have a button here, or we have a text field here. Based on these, something happens. Okay, now comes the main part where we have to perform something based on these actions which we are going to take. So how we will do that? So okay, let's do this thing. Main page UI is done. Okay, now we have these things ready. What we need is we can we have to introduce some state management or something like that. Okay, so how we are going to do that, guys? So for the simplicity of the course, I have used, okay, let me go to first of all the front end, where it is front end. Yes, so I have used here velocity x, which I think I am not using anymore. So what I'm going to do is I am going to remove it, and I am going to add vx state here. Okay, so vx state is my state management, which I prefer, or I don't. Let's not make it complicated. Let's have the velocity x itself. Okay, I'll show you. Even if you're using velocity x, that's fine. And if you want to use something else, that's also fine. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to wrap this my app with something called let's say here, or here itself. I can wrap it with something called vx app, or you can use vx state. So let's use vx state for now. There is a difference between vx state and vx app. I'll show you in some time. Now this vx state takes a store. Okay, so you can have a store, let's say my store, and or maybe you can just say task store, because this is a task app. Okay, and then this is fine. So now in the core folder we will create another folder which will be like store will have, let's say for example, task store dot dart. Okay, and then we can have another folder, let's say mutations will be all the operations. So store we have task store, so we can just say class task store extends vx store, and I think this should be fine. And then this task store will have some data. Okay, it does not matter what data you want to keep it here, but this is fine. Now we have the store ready. We have the mutations not ready, but we have in the main dot we have the task store, so I can specify this. Okay, now the first mutation is get all tasks, so I can just say mutation here get all task dot dart. So this mutation, what it will do, oh shit. Okay, I made a mistake. I should remove this folder. The mistake which I did it. Okay, I have this, but why it's not working? I don't know. Okay, something is wrong. What I did wrong. Refresh. I don't know, but I'm not able to click this file for some reason. Okay, let's delete this folder itself. Okay, now I'm not able to delete it as well. For some reason, this is weird. Okay, now I can see that the file is deleted. Okay, get all tasks dot dart, and here I can just say class get all tasks mutation extends vx mutation task store, and yeah, I think this should be fine. And we don't have task here, so we can specify in the store that we want some tasks. Okay, so we have this list of tasks here in the store, and we get this store dot tasks is equal to this tasks. This store it does not understand because of this thing, and now it can do that. But when we say get all mutations, what exactly is going to happen? So we are going to hit some API. So how we will do that? We will have, let's say, final tasks Okay, we want specify this thing here. This is not we wanted. So final task is equal to task repo sync. Wait. And we can also do dependency injection, guys, but for the simplicity of it, let's go with remote task repo for now. Okay, otherwise what we can do is we can just say task repo and we can implement that thing here rather than using remote task repo. We can change it later, that's totally fine. And this is how we can specify these tasks. Once this is done, I think get all task mutation is done. So first mutation is done, get all task, which is fetching from database and then giving it to this and that. So this is how you write with the vx state or velocity x. This is how you specify it. Now we can go to main.dart, we can go to home page, and somewhere we have to do get all mutations, right? So what I can do is I can in the main.dart itself, after we call this, we can just say get all tasks mutation. Okay, and once you do that, actually we have to do it before we make this store. So I think we can do it in my app itself. Yes, this is also fine. It's totally okay. And once you have this, we can just do something. Once you have the task, then what you can do is you can go to home page. You can so this area is where the task will be loaded, right? This thing, like this column. So what I can do is I can wrap it with let's say with a widget called vx builder, which I'll import, and it will have obviously a builder. So builder will give it context, comma store, comma status, and it can render based on that. And for mutations, we can specify that it just listen for get all task mutation. So whenever there is a get all task, there is a change from this mutation, this widget will rebuild. Okay, that's what it is doing, by the way. Okay, now what error we are getting? Okay, we have one missing or what? Okay, I think we missed some parenthesis somewhere. That's what I feel. Okay, I think here we missed it. Okay, I think there is some issue. Oh, okay. I think what it has done is it has this padding is done. I think it's all good. I don't know what is the issue here. Column is fine, builder is fine, padding is fine, safe area is also fine. This padding has certain issue for sure. So row is fine. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's remove this. Okay, and then add a padding again. Okay, oh, it replaced it with that equal to sign. That was the problem. Okay, so guys, this is what we have, and from here, rather than showing this tasks, we can just use store.tasks, or we can do one more thing. We can just copy this and we can just say if status dot is loading. Okay, what is this status? Vx status. Okay. If status is equal to Vx status dot loading, that it is fine. Otherwise, we can do store as task store. Okay, 1 second, guys. Dot tasks. Okay, so I'll explain you what is happening. So we have a VX builder where we are fetching for get all task mutation. Inside the builder, we have a column. This builder gives us three things. When there is a mutation done, for example, when this operation gets done, this perform function is completed, then it goes to this home page again, right? And inside this, what it does is it get all the tasks. It gives you the store and the status. So if it is loading, then we just show circular progress indicator. Otherwise, we just give the task back. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I am going to run this application now. Finally, okay, here we are, and let's see what happens. Okay, guys, we got so many issues. Why? I don't know. Let's check what issue we are getting. The following exception was thrown. Perform resize. There is some resize issue with the list view. Oh, it's a this is the problem, guys. This should not be scroll vertical here. I think it was added by this thing itself. Let's do a hot restart and we can see task 1, task 2, task 3. Okay, and this is not our task. This is the task which is coming from this backend. Okay, for example, if I do, let's change something here. So rather than let's say task 1, I can name it by iPhone. Okay, throw iPhone, and the last task is by another iPhone. Okay, now I have changed it. Let's do a hot restart and let's see if this refreshes here as well. Okay, we have to refresh the server also, I guess. No. Yes, Dart frog dev. And now if I go back and if I refresh, and you can see we have buy iPhone, throw iPhone, and buy another iPhone. So basically this thing is working perfectly fine. So now this task we are adding ourselves. We don't want to add it. We want to add it using our front end. So how we can do that as well? So we can add some functionality with these things as well. Don't worry about that. So we will do that. So before that, we have to do something when this thing happens, right? There's one more thing which I feel I should have done. This task list view should have done this task rather than doing something here. So what I can do is we can remove this part from here, and we can probably just return the task list view. That's it. So what I mean is I can just say task list view here. Okay, and we can remove this VX builder from here. Okay, how this will help, you might be wondering, but actually it will help. So for example, if I go here, I can remove this task from here. I can make this UI even better. That's what I mean. Like right now it's very cluttered. So what I can do, I can use the VX builder here itself. And if we get this thing, then I can just remove this thing from here and I can replace this thing from here. Okay, so what is happening here is rather than doing that thing there, we are doing inside the task list view, because this is the responsibility of this task list view to do all the job. Okay, this is not a responsibility of anything else, right? And here the task's length which I am asking is basically inside this store or this thing. So how I can do it is I can convert it to block body. I can say final tasks is equal to store.tasks, or I can also name it, I can use it like this. let's say store as task store, and then I can say dot tasks. Okay, so this is pretty good. This is doing the same thing which doing here, but this is looking better, right? And when we are calling about new task, okay, when we are just writing a task, we are using this thing. So what we can do, we can have a controller as well, which we haven't specified. So what I'm going to do is, for this bottom navigation bar, this entire thing, including the padding, I am pushing it as a let's say, okay, basically I will extract this as a add task widget. Okay, so this add task widget is here. I'll just copy this widget from here. I'll get it from here, and I'll paste it as a different widget. So I'll just say add task widget dot dart. We can also write test cases for these also. This is also fine. I mean, there is no harm in writing test cases. So this is the add task widget, and now I can just import it from here. And now you can see homepage looks very clean, right? We have a safe area, we have a task list view. The responsibility of the list view is fetching the list view, and we have a add task widget. And here we can have let's say a controller, final task controller will be text editing controller, and we can assign this task controller to we can have it here as well. That's also the same thing, because it's a stateless widget, so that's no problem. And I believe that if you're using VX state, you never have to make stateful widgets as such, unless you have to do a lot of animation and all those sort of things. Okay, so we have the task controller. What I want to do, when the floating action button is pressed, I want to do something, like I want to add some tasks. So I can just say add task mutation, and which will have task controller.text. Okay, so basically it will add a task. So now this mutation does not exist. So in the mutations, I'll go back and I'll say add task dot dart. Okay, so here we can again have class add task mutation, and extends this. This is not what I want. I want VX VX mutation with task store, and then I can have importing of this, and then we will just have the missing function. Okay, and similar to what we have here, if you remember in the get all tasks, we have this thing. So we will just copy this. We'll go back here. This we can make asynchronous, and then we can import this, but this time it won't be fetch all task, it will be add task, and we have to give a task, right? So this task is basically we have to create this task. Okay, so final task new task is equal to this. What happened with me? So I can just have this, and we have to give some ID. Okay, so ID I can give, like we can use UUID. .v4. I think this should give me what it returns. It's written a string. Okay, this is cool. Then title is task, and is completed is by default false, right? It's anyway false only, but still. And then we can also perform, we can get what it returns at task. It returns the task itself. Okay, we don't need that task, to be honest. we can just leave it like this. And once we are done with this, once we get the task, yeah, I think it should be fine. It should be fine. Let's try this. Let's try this and let's see what happens. So in this case, when you do this, you also want to make this task controller dot clear, because once you have done this, you don't need this, right? And add new task I can write. Okay, we are done with this. Now, whenever there is a change, whenever there is a new task which is there, so we will want to update our list view as well, right? So we can also say there are two ways of doing it. Either we call get all task mutation again, or we can also add that add task mutation when there is some change here, then also, like, do something here, like update this thing, update this particular thing. Or maybe get all task is a better call, because like if you see here, okay, what we can do, we can from here we can say get all task mutation, because somewhere we have to update the list, right? So now if I go back and restart our server, we have 3 tasks already. Let's have another task. We can call it go to market. I hope you can see it. It's here itself. Go to market. And if I press here, and you can see we have go to market over here. Okay. I'm nowhere saying at any place that this add this task here, right? And now even if I go to my URL and if I refresh it, you can see we have 4th ID go to market, but this time it is setting the ID as this, right? Which is not correct, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my backend and I'm going to fix this thing. So if I go back to my backend, I have routes, I have this id.dart, and here if we see on post, where is on post? Okay, it's not the ID, it's actually the index.dart. So in the post part, we are doing this, we have this add task, right? And we, if I go back to my this data, okay, see there we are having this task. Let's delete all these tasks, we don't need them anymore, or we can just do this. And here the ID is the problem, right? So this task we are copying with a new ID, which we should not do, right? So we will just do something like this, and then I will just restart my server again just for all these changes. Control C, and I'll just restart. And this time if I'll try to fetch it, so once I restart the server, these changes are not reflecting anyway, but for that we will have to refresh our app or refresh our tasks. So what I can do is we can have another button over here, guys, which can refresh our view. So here in the front end, in the app bar homepage, app bar, we can have actions, and we can have an icon button which will be refresh. Okay, and this will do nothing, but it will just say get all task mutation. And now what will happen, if I do hot restart, we have this button here, and if I just do this, okay, now let's add some task here. So let's say hello world. If I press this, I can see it here. Okay, and now if I do here, you can see there is some random ID and there is hello world, is completed is false, and then I can just say my name is PK. Okay, I can see it as well, right? So, and if I refresh it, we can see it. So even if we add some data from somewhere else, let's say if I want to like we can use a Thunder client, let's say we can create a new request, and here we can have a post request. We can use this URL, right? And in the body part, we can have a JSON where we can say ID is equal to something something something. What it is? What is the problem? Bad string. Okay. Now it should be fine. Then we can have title, and title can be new client, and we can have is completed, which we will say false. Okay, so this is our new this thing, new post request we will do, and we will do send, and you can see we get status 200. Okay, this is done. And now if I refresh it here, and you can see we have the new client here. So this is perfectly working. I'm very happy that we are able to do this kind of thing. Now this request is working, so I'll just get done this thing. Okay, so let's do that. Add task is done. Okay, this is looking nice. Now what else? How we can improve this UI? We can delete also, we can update also. So I think updation would be too much. I am already tired now. but you can definitely do the updation part. Delete part, I think we can still do. If you want, I can help you. So how you will do it? It's very simple. Even edit part I can help you in doing, but the thing is that for edit we have to make them edit text or text fields, and then it will be a little bit boring work. But let's improve them a little bit further first of all. So in the widgets, I'll go to task list view, and here in the list style, this looks fine, but what if I can wrap it to, okay, maybe this title itself, you can make it interesting. You can wrap it with a box, you can make it, and you can give it some random color. Vx dot random color like this. Okay, this is fine. Now you can give it some padding. So let's say padding of piece 32. Okay, this is looking a little better. We can make it rounded, and also we can make the text a little bit better. Instance excel.make, and then we can also make it semi bold. Let's do this. Okay, this is looking much better application now, because yeah, it's fun. And now we can have a delete icon as well. If it is completed, then we already showing how it will be completed though. That's the main target, right? How you will make sure that this thing is completed, that we can do using update, right? So that's one thing which we can do. So okay, let's do one thing. Okay, let's do one thing. This trailing function is something I will remove it from here, and I can add it to leading. Okay, that when it is completed, it will show the done icon. In trailing, rather, I will have a row or a button bar where I will have two children. One would be to delete, and another would be to, like, two icon buttons, I would say. Icon button, icons dot delete. Okay, so this is the first button. I can have second button. Okay, now this is the second button. I can have first button. This will be icons dot done. And now if I do a hot restart, you can probably not see anything. Okay, button bar is not working. Basically row, let's use row. Okay, this is also not working. Interesting. Okay, why it's not working though? That's my question. Okay, I think we can just say shrink to true just to make sure that it's not taking all those things. I think we will have to give it a specific width, otherwise this is not gonna work. So what I can do is this row I can give a width, let's say context dot screen width percent width into may 10%. Okay, something like this. Now you can see it here, right? This is interesting. Now this looks fine. The main thing is that what else we can do? Okay, well, let's call it button bar itself. We can because give some kind of beautification we can do basically. Okay, I'll change the color also of this thing. Colors dot green for this, and for this we can use colors dot red. Okay, this is nice. Completed. Okay, one more thing I can do is rather than this leading, this will not look good with that this thing. I can use a subtitle, right? So subtitle we can just say if let's say this. Okay, why we are doing this, by the way, we can just say final task is equal to this. So we can just say task dot title, and yeah, this is fine. If task is completed, then we can just say text completed, else not completed. Okay, this is fine. And now when we say done and when we say delete, we have to create two different mutations for this. So we can go back to our core, we can go back to our mutations, and we will have delete task dot dart, and we can have update task dot dart. Delete task will be similar to add task, by the way. So I'll just copy this thing and I'll just say this, except the fact that I'll change the name. And delete task is basically it will take the ID, right? So it should be like this. And okay, store.task remove where is fine. I don't think we should do this, right? We should rather fetch new tasks. So what I'm going to do is I will do this rather that await remote this. Okay, where is this thing? Remote task repo dot delete task, and we can have the ID here. This is a much better approach in my opinion. And then we can just say get all task mutation, right? Same thing we can do for I think update as well, like update task. Like update is the name which we will change. Update task mutation, and here also we will just say update task. Update task takes a task, so I think we will have to give it a task. Okay, and I can just say task, and this task we can pass here. Okay, like this, and I think this should be fine. So now we have all these things ready. We can go back here, and in case of delete we can just say delete task mutation. We have task.id here, which is perfect, right? And then we have here we have update task mutation. Again, we have the task, which we will have to change a little bit, where we can say copy with is completed as basically the opposite of it. Okay, sometimes it will be completed, sometimes it won't be completed. Okay, something like this. So we have done a lot of progress. Let's see if everything works. So right now you can see this is not completed. Okay, this not completed is also looking a little bit okay, let's give it some px8 padding. Okay, now if I do a delete button press, then we can see this task is gone. Even if I refresh, there's not this task does not exist anymore. And in the backend also you will see that the thing will reflect like this only. If I do it here, you can see I have just 2 tasks now. And now let's say if I want to make it completed, so you can see this is saying completed. If I press it again, it will be not completed, completed, not completed, completed, not completed. And right now it's not completed. So if I refresh it, you can see it is false. But if I go back, if I make it completed, then you can see if I refresh, it is true, right? So this is how this app is working perfectly fine. We have performed all the operations, guys, and this is the app is working just fine. Okay, so this is it. I think we have done backend, front end. There is a lot more things we can do with this. We can make it even better, and maybe in the future videos we'll try to make it even better, guys. But I hope you enjoyed it. Before I just wrap up this session, folks, we can make this UI even better, and we can also add dark mode. Here we were setting the random color. Let's remove this thing. Let's call it some purplish color, for example, like this, or you can add some other color just in case you don't like this. Okay, something like this. And now let's see how we can add, or let's remove it for now. What do you think? Yeah, I think it's fine. Also, we can just use the theme from here, like context dot theme dot card color, maybe, right? And that should be good. I think this thing is not working that well. Or we have primary color as well. This is kind nice. And based on the primary color, the text color, we can make it, let's say, for example, dot white. Okay, this is fine for now. Now what I'm going to do is one more thing I want to do before I just add dark mode to this. I can make these icons a little bit like rounded, or maybe I can add some circle, or make them bigger at least. Let's say 30. Okay, I don't think so that this, okay, this is increasing, but we have to increase the icon both the size. Okay, I think this size is fine for the kind of space we have. Now to add dark mode, what you have to do, you have to go to main.dart. This is very easy if you are using velocity X. So you have to just change this VX state to VX app, nothing else. And then in rather than child, you will add or maybe you can remove it from here itself. Let's say we just remove it from here, and we can wrap it here, wrap with let's say a builder, and we can just say VX app. The builder here will take couple of things. For example, okay, let's import it. The builder here takes build context, and also, okay, it gives us app data as well, which is perfectly fine. And then it is we can specify the store, which was our task store. So we have just changed, rename it from vx state to vx app. And then it can be very useful for, let's say, if I used to set the brightness, then this app data has this thing called dark mode. If it is true, then dark, otherwise it is light, and that's it. That's all you have to do. Now to change the dark mode, you will have to go to your app bar, and here in the actions you can add, let's say, dark vx dark mode button. Okay, and okay, and you can see we have the button over here. We can make it single because this is looking better, so single icon to true. Okay, this is fine. Now if I click on it, you can see we have dark mode without much efforts. Yeah, this is looking nice now. New dark mode added. Wow, this is looking cool. Awesome. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Yeah. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, press the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you want some mentorship or any kind of that thing, you can go to topmed.io/yourpawan and you can book an appointment with me, and I will be happy to help with either your resume review or any consultation or anything like that. You can read that there. And also make sure you are following me on Instagram and Twitter and even on LinkedIn. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye, take care, and let me know your thoughts in the comments, that how you feel about this video, as well as what kind of other videos you would like to watch. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.